Hello and welcome to Artwork, a conversation with creative people about the joys, the challenges and the mundane moments of living an artistic life. We're your hosts, I'm Poppy Rose.
And I'm Brie Robertson.
And our artist today is Bristol-based singer-songwriter Asha Elia.
Asha Elia is an R&B singer-songwriter. After finding a faith in Christianity while studying accounting, Asha struggled to find the uplifting type of R&B music she wanted to listen to. So she resolved to write it herself.
With no musical background or prior intentions of becoming a musician, Asha's desire to create empowering music has taken her on a journey that she never expected. She now has over 40,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and her songs have been listened to well over 1 million times.
In this episode, we talk about defining your why and holding on to those reasons when you feel disillusioned by the industry. The importance of surrounding yourself with a like-minded, supportive community, Ash's experience of being a part of two worlds, the music industry and the Christian community, and how the artist's journey is always a step-by-step process.
Asha is an incredibly inspiring woman, and we really enjoyed this conversation.
Let's dive in.
Hello, Asha. Welcome to the podcast. It's so nice to have you here today. I have been listening to your music for a good couple of months now. And I'm so excited to chat to you and talk all about your journey with your music and your faith and just dig into all of that. So welcome.
Thanks, guys. And thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to talk with you guys.
Could you give us a little introduction of who you are and what you do creatively, and then we can ask you some more in-depth questions about that.
So I would call myself a singer-songwriter, and what I do, make music that I feel resonates with a lot of people who don't have that kind of music.
I feel like I'm kind of skipping things here, but I really want to respond to what you just said. Did you see a gap in the music world and the music available to people? Did you see a gap there that you felt like you wanted to fill?
Yeah, definitely, because there was a point in time where my core beliefs changed, and so I think my music taste changed with that, and all the music that I loved before, all of it was just talking about like sleeping around, I guess heartbreak, but in a perspective that what didn't resonate with me anymore. So I just wanted to make music that I felt uplifted me and didn't leave me feeling, that R&B feeling where you start to think back to the guy you dated like 10 years ago. I wanted to make music that was like complete opposite of that. So I definitely saw a gap. That's such a huge gap.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So what changed for you to be seeking out music with a different message? Can you tell us about that?
Do you mean like within my life?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you feel comfortable talking about
it. It's cool. I went to university. I went to Freshers Week. To be honest, I only got so far as pre-freshers and I was getting drunk every night. And then I actually became a Christian after that, which was so random for everyone around me. They were just like, what's happening? But with that, like my whole life changed. So yeah.
Wow. So that's not so, because I didn't realize that I thought maybe you had grown up as a Christian and that was a part of your life for since you were a child, but that's something that actually is quite recent for you.
Yeah, no, it was completely foreign. So it was a big life change.
Wow. And how did that happen?
I think when I went to uni and I realized like there just has to be more to life than partying and stuff. And then everyone I met around that time that I was drawn to was Christian. They would always talk to me about their faith and just answer any questions I had because I was a pretty big debater at the time. I just became friends with a lot of people with that faith. And then after, I think I went to church and then I just felt a rush of like love just within like my core. It was such a strange feeling. But after that, I just knew, God, you're real.
Wow. Do you want to tell us a bit more about your journey with your face? Your face. Let me start that again one more time. Tell us about your face. No. Tell us about your journey with your faith, and then how did that like become a part of your creative expression? How did that become part of this part of you that you wanted to express through your music?
So I think before I became a Christian, I didn't make music like at all. Um, and I guess every once in a while I'd write a poem in the middle of the night kind of thing, probably like every couple of years. And then when I saw that there was such a gap and there was something missing in my life, like to do with the kind of music that would empower me, I just thought instead of being frustrated that no one's making it, let me just try. And I didn't like
Wow.
identify as a singer or anything like that. I sung in the shower, but like the thought of getting on stage was like a no. But I thought, let me just try and make a song.
What?
Wow.
That's wild.
That is so
And it
cool.
was crazy because that song was Serve, and for it to have gone as far as it did
Yes.
as like the first song that I wrote was crazy. It blows my mind still.
That's the first song that you wrote like ever.
So I think before that I wrote maybe like a couple lines, but never like a song. So that was like the first time I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a song. Cause it's the God that I serve, God that I serve. I don't deserve your love. The God that I serve, God that I serve. I don't deserve your love, no. I know I can do this my own. Oh na na na, oh na na na, na 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 na, na 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 na, oh na na na, oh na na na, na na na.
So had you ever had any like music training, or like did you enjoy music at school, or was this process for you like, I'm just going to completely dive into the deep end of music and try and uncover this world?
No music training. I think maybe in GCSEs I took music, but I didn't pay attention. I didn't get a good grade. Like so, yeah. This I felt like I was just completely fresh. Like I just knew what I liked to hear.
100%. Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
were you listening to like and consuming lots of music at that time as well to like inspire you, or?
When I wrote Serve, yeah, I listened to I think Trey Songz. He had a song out that I was listening to a lot when I wrote Serve. So, which is interesting because like Trey Songz, he makes very sexual music. But I
Yeah.
just took like the melodies and was
Mm.
really inspired by a lot of just the way he was so vague with his lyrics. That's so when I was writing stuff, I just knew that it had to be a good standard songwriting wise.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea of when this was? So, and kind of how it evolved. So, you went from seeing a need in the music world for music that you wanted to hear. You wrote a song, and then what happened? Like, did you ever think that you would put that song somewhere, or was your motivation to actually be a musical artist, or was it just in the beginning like, I'm just going to write this in my room and sing this to myself? And yeah, like, how did it grow for you?
So I think as I was like kind of getting into this idea that I could write a song, I saw another artist like kind of begin his journey with his first ever songs. And I thought, okay, maybe I can release a song on Spotify too if that person can.
Yeah.
And the person who produced Serve, he like helped me with the recording because I really wasn't great at singing, like at all. So every line he like took me through and was like, you know, you've got it wrong in that area, like sing that line again, kind of thing, just to get it exactly right. And I knew I was going to put it out, but I never thought that was going to be an actual. I was actually going to be a music artist. I hadn't actually thought past that first song. Like everyone was like, okay, where's the next one? For months afterwards, and I was just like, next one, like what? Um, but it wasn't actually the
Wow.
first song I released. Actually, I after I wrote Serve, I was like, this song is too good to just be like the first one ever. So I quickly wrote a song called Evidence and like chucked it out on YouTube and SoundCloud just as like the build up kind of one. So yeah.
So when was this? When did this kind of start?
2017/18.
Goodness me.
So what's happened since then? So you released Serve, and
Yeah.
what happened to that song? How has the journey kind of evolved since then?
Yeah, so I released it, and I think the first month or so, I was just like, oh, this song deserves so much more like recognition because obviously I had just kind of stepped into things. No one really knew who I was. So I would just spend ages like searching for people to send it to and stuff. And I came across a guy who at the time controlled all the Christian playlists on Spotify. So I kind of like harassed him a little bit. It's like, hey, like, listen to my song. And then he added it to like 4 or 5. And that's when it like kind of got a lot of traction. And then what was the second half of your question? Sorry.
What's happened since then? So since Serve kind of went around the world.
So I think since then I've really been focusing on confidence because that was probably the biggest thing holding me back. So just getting into the idea of not being an imposter because I think to come in that way it's so easy to get imposter syndrome and see all these amazing singers, amazing songwriters, people who have just been in the industry so long and just think I'm not supposed to be here. So that's been a big focus of mine, actually recognizing that I am an artist. There is a need for my music and for what I as a person bring to the world. So yeah.
And how have you been doing that? What kind of things have you been doing to try and remove that imposter syndrome mindset and grow your confidence?
I think a big thing has been community, like finding more music community, um, and just being around people who are musicians in a way that isn't like comparing myself to them, like actually being friends, everyone's helping each other and encouraging each other. Has definitely brought a lot of peace to the fact that a lot of people are going through a lot of the same questions, like regarding like music and identity and feeling good enough. And yeah, that's definitely encouraged me.
Yeah, totally. Because I think like even if people are trained and they have been in the industry for years, they can still struggle with that imposter syndrome. It can haunt people no matter how good other people might think that you are. So that's amazing that you found a community of people to help you feel encouraged and supported.
I was just going to say that, like, yeah, community is just so important, and that's been a theme that's been coming up in a lot of our conversations recently. It's just that having people around you who believe in this, in you, believe in the same things, who, like you say, they're not competitive. It's we're in this together, and I think that is just the most important thing. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your songwriting process. So how did Serve, for example, come to you? You said you started writing a few poems and things like this. Yeah, tell us a little bit about how it came to be, or how your songs come to be.
So I think around the time I just listened to loads of R&B because I just really wanted to get it right. Obviously, I had no songwriting real experience, so I was just like, I'm gonna have to learn from the best. Um, so I listened to loads of R&B and I sat down and I prayed and I was just like, God, help me, like bring words to me that you want to speak through me, kind of thing. And that kind of gave me a big, what's the word? It gave me the inspiration of what I wanted my message to be. So it gave me that kind of purpose, which really helped. And then in terms of like melodies and stuff, I would just, write different melodies or come up with different ones until the right one came about where I could be proud of it, really. So yeah, it did take me a while to write that song.
Wow. And is it becoming easier now? Like, do you find that songwriting process, it's starting to flow a bit more, or is it still, like, are you starting to feel more confident in your ability to write?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, especially after Serve, I kind of got a bit scared that would be my peak, which sounds strange because it was like the first official song. But and I would get bogged down a lot with creative block and not being able to write because I was just like, I need it to be good, I need it to be good. And that pressure kind of really got to me. But then I think I read it somewhere, or I don't know how I came up with it, but it was a kind of thing where I just said to myself, okay, let me just write something crap and see how it goes. And then when I got into that mindset of like, it doesn't matter how good it is, just write, just start, like I was able to get into it and have fun. And then it just became so much easier. So that's kind of the mindset that I use whenever I start writing now. Just write, and whatever comes out, we can work with it.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think songwriting in the shower has helped a lot too.
Cool.
So just like setting up my laptop, playing the music, then setting up my phone to record it, and I just like record every melody that comes through. So
Oh wow,
that's pretty cool.
Hello. It's your Artwork Podcast host, briefly interrupting this episode. We hope you're enjoying this conversation and feeling really inspired by this story.
We'd just like to remind you that the Artwork Podcast is a completely independent project, and we'd really appreciate your help in spreading the word. You can do that by subscribing, leaving a comment or a review, and sharing the podcast with your friends.
You can also support the podcast through our tip jar on Patreon. If you believe in this project and you feel there's value in sharing these stories, a small contribution will help us keep going. You can choose to give a monthly or a single donation, and there are some special little rewards in there for you too.
And we'd like to invite you to take part in the Artwork conversation by joining our Artwork Community Facebook group. There, you will be able to connect with the artist we featured on the podcast and share your journey with like-minded creatives.
Let's get back to the conversation. So is this something now, like it's been quite a surprising diversion from what you thought your life was going to look like. Is this something that you think you will keep doing? Like, have you fallen in love with it enough for you to see that this is what you want to be doing in the future?
I think so. When I went to uni, I studied accounting, and I now work in tax. And I just think there's just no competition really. I definitely want to be a full-time artist, like that's without a shadow of a doubt. But I think it's just about building the income streams. I think that's probably like the biggest thing. So at the moment, I'm just kind of, listening around, researching different ways that it's possible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what are the options that you're finding right now for income streams as a musician? Because I think that's probably a big struggle for a lot of musicians, and especially right now that we can't be playing live and be on tour and earning money that way. What kind of options are you finding for musicians, especially online, to be able to make money?
So I think merch is something that I definitely want to get into. That would be really cool. And my boyfriend's also a musician, and he's kind of started up a marketing thing where he kind of guides just like other musicians on how to navigate the marketing and the branding and stuff. So I'm getting into that too. But I'm really open, to be honest. I feel like I don't yet know. So yeah,
it's a difficult ground to kind of navigate. I think at the moment,
especially
for a lot of artists,
especially now, because I mean, for me and Brie, like for a couple of years, our whole income was from music, was live concerts, and I mean, I've never really made any substantial money from having music online. But yeah, so I think it's really great, like you say, to invest some time into marketing and branding and thinking about building even more online. And I love the idea of some merch as well. I think with your whole aesthetic, and it would be good.
Thank you guys.
We'd love to know, as an artist, what it's been like for you to be so open about your faith through music as well. And you've shared that was really what inspired you to write, because you wanted music to be able to listen to, and you're actually forging it. Do you feel like you're forging a new genre or a new kind of, are you pioneering something here?
I feel like I'm one of the pioneers. Because
Okay.
there are a few people, especially now. There's so many artists now. So, but I feel like because I was there like from kind of like almost the start of faith based R&B. Well, contemporary R&B anyway, because there were like more traditional gospel influenced R&B
Yeah.
that's been around for ages.
Wow. How does it feel for you to kind of be pioneering something new? I mean, obviously you're not on your own, but do you feel like a lot of responsibility in that role, or do you feel like it's kind of anything is possible and you're just able to do whatever you like? What's it like?
I feel like it definitely has been something that I've struggled with. Oh, it's such a big topic. Especially throughout the journey, there's been like a couple criticisms, just from my community, just maybe about how I dress, or that someone always has something to say. Maybe that's just part of every artist's journey. But at the start, or maybe midway through, I felt kind of like I was a bit boxed in, and I didn't want to be. And then I started to think, okay, maybe I shouldn't be as overt. Like maybe I should just, have it be in between the lines kind of thing. But then I realized this is not me. Like it's not what naturally comes out. So yeah.
So in what way did you feel boxed in?
I felt like people expected a certain thing from me, and if I didn't maybe sing about God, then they'll just be like, oh wow, she's like giving up her faith or something. um, which is very silly. So I'm just not listening to any person that ever has that opinion. And I kind of felt like maybe in the industry it would be harder too, because they'll just kind of box me off as not mainstream. But I'm realizing that's not really the case, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's really good to hear that like that you're finding that the music industry is maybe more open than you expected it to be. I really admire your bravery of being so open about what you believe, because I think in our society today, um, I would say like it's quite scary to be really open about what you believe, because there's so many people that are ready to be haters. And I'm just wondering how you have found that balance between like being a part of the music industry and being a Christian artist, and whether that has come with like whether that's been scary at times, or whether you feel really confident about that, or yeah, what has it been like to be so open about your faith in your music?
Yeah, I think at times it has felt a bit like trapping. But then I realized that I was kind of looking at it from the wrong point of view and focusing on the one or two people that had issues instead of like the thousands of people who don't. So yeah, I've realized as well that industry follow the people. So just focus on your listeners, and kind of love on them and give them value, and industry notice that that's what they care about. So um yeah.
I listen to music. I personally don't identify as a Christian, but I'm definitely on my own little spiritual journey. Um, but I was definitely brought up with the idea that Christianity and like organized religion as a whole, it got a lot of bad press, and it still does. You know, across it still does sometimes.
The world, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it does. But my friend Gina, who we also had on the podcast, she had a similar journey to you, where she found her faith and found Christianity at the start of university, and that's when we became friends as well. And so for me to see her find Christianity, and to see one of my best friends, all the goodness that it brought her, and all the goodness that then she was sharing with the world. I thought I had an open mind to these things, but I think seeing her journey, at first I was a bit like, why are you going to church? Like, that's weird. And
Yeah.
then actually being there like along her journey really like showed me like, wow, actually there is so much goodness in church. There is so much goodness in community, and finding people around you that believe the same things and have the same values and have the same morals. And yeah, for me, that really just was like, oh, okay, like maybe it's not all bad. Maybe it's good. There is so much goodness, and I just, yeah, I think it's such an important conversation, because I said I thought I was open minded about uh, religion and Christianity and things, but then yeah, realizing that I wasn't, and yeah, I just wanted to have this conversation because yeah, I listen to your music. I listen to lots of Christian music on Spotify. Like, just put a nice little playlist on, have a good time, because like you say, it is empowering. It's good vibes music. You know, it's talking about things that lift you up. There is so much goodness that can come from having good values, having good morals, having community, and yeah, I guess I don't really have a question here. What are your
Well, I have a question. I have a question to kind of
go for it?
top
Yeah.
that off, Puppy. Of like, what are the messages that you
Yeah,
hope to share through your music that for Christians or non-Christians? What is the message of your faith that you're sharing?
that's a good question.
Yeah, I think
Thanks,
that is
Brie.
a good question. Yeah. And I
We
love
got.
I loved what you said, Poppy, about like how you viewed things, and just, yeah, all of everything you said. And that's why I loved nights like this as well, because it wasn't really overt, or that, but anyway, no one knew I was really speaking about Jesus, but it definitely had just the message of getting back up again and having hope,
Mm.
and just coming back from heartbreak. And that's definitely one of the messages that I want to give through my music, is just empowerment. I this year I want to speak into people's like self-esteem and self-worth. um yeah, I definitely have a heart for the things that we as women go through, and the things that society teaches us, and the questions that we grow up having, and just a lot of the patterns that we see in society. So yeah, there's big messages.
How important do you think it is for, young women who are growing up with a faith or without a faith? How important do you think it is for them to be hearing music that can speak positively into their lives? Do you think that has a big influence?
Yeah, no, I genuinely feel like it has the power to shape our everyday actions and everyday like mindsets. Like, I feel like music is so powerful. And I think as a young person, I definitely resonate with listening to certain music, and it's strengthening like toxic mindsets, or just trauma. And I want my music to be the opposite of that. So yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so wonderful.
And I feel like it definitely
Awesome.
is achieving that. It definitely is the opposite of all those things, and it is uplifting. And yeah, so like, what's in, like you say, you want to write about these themes in the future. What else is in the future for you? Any like EPs or albums, or any next steps within like your music journey that you're excited about, that you're starting to plan?
I do want to do a couple EPs this year, because last year I did one. And this year I'm also focusing a lot on singles. So I kind of set a little goal for myself to do one single a month. Now,
Love
I
it.
mean,
Oh, wow.
I hope I'm gonna be able to do them all to a good standard. No worries if I don't do it, but that's my goal for this year.
Amazing. Have you written those singles yet? Or is that like it would be a process of writing, recording, and releasing throughout the whole year?
I think I've written like maybe two. So I need to get a hurry on.
Wow, amazing. So have you already released some singles for January and February?
Yeah, so in January I released Amen, and then in
Okay,
February
yeah.
I did a Victory remix.
So what's your process when you've written a song? Do you, especially right now with the COVID lockdown, Do you record those songs yourself and produce them, or do you have a team and a studio? How do you what do you do with the song once that you've written them?
So I have a producer, and I'll either write what he produces for me in our Zoom sessions because it's lockdown and we're in different cities, or I'll write to a YouTube beat and say, "Hey, I've written this. Let's produce something for what I've already written." Um, and we kind of just roll on like a monthly contract where I just pay him monthly for whatever needs to be done. So it's pretty chill. And then I'll record it in my room wherever I am and send it over to him, and he'll mix and master it.
We talked the other day with an indie band from Yorkshire, and one of the points that came up for them was that when you're in the music industry, it's really important to remember why you're making music. And I think your reason why is really strong. Like, you have such a clear reason as to why you even started writing music and what you hope your music does when it reaches its listeners. Are there moments where you feel challenged, or where you feel frustrated, or like this is not going anywhere? And how do you continue to keep going if you have those moments?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel a lot of those things. It's been something that I've been journeying through 100% because a lot of the musicians that I know and that I'm friends with, we all have kind of similar goals in just wanting to give value to people. But it can be hard feeling like comparison or insecurity, like in comparison, like, um, yeah, just insecurity and stuff like that. And then it always makes me think back, okay, but why am I doing this? Like, am I doing it for my own ego? Because that's what it feels like. And I have to really anchor myself and really like challenge myself and remind myself again of those whys and that a lot of us, we have the same goals. Like we're a team, we're a partnership, we're not in competition kind of thing. So yeah, the why definitely comes in. Is vital for those moments for me personally.
The ego is a really big thing that can get in our way as an artist, I think. And I definitely feel that a lot myself sometimes, of just like, when you're surrounded by people who are trying to do the same thing as you, it's so easy to just start feeling like, well, I've got to get ahead somehow. I've got to stand out amongst this crowd, or like,
Yeah.
oh, they got that opportunity. I need to do something like that as well. Uh, it can really rob you of the joy of creating, and totally sidetrack your view of the motivation as to why you started it in the
Yeah.
first place. I think it's such a real battle that artists need to walk through.
Before COVID, did you do any live shows, any like live performances?
Yeah, I've done a few. Not too many, just like a few, but it's definitely because I was new to the whole thing. Like, it's definitely taken me a while to get comfortable on stage and to not feel scared. And I feel like even now, like, it just, as an artist, it feels like there's so many. I know you didn't ask me this, but as an artist, it feels like there's so many different things you have to think about, like the songwriting, the
Mm.
stage presence, the
Uh,
the vocal ability, and yeah, I'm just kind of easing my way into it, not trying to be too hard on myself in terms of live performances, just having fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
important, to just have fun with it and to not put all this pressure on, that performing is the be all and end all, because at this point in time it's not. And at this point in time, having the recording process and like having this great relationship with a producer and having that flow of being able to release songs every month, I think that at this point that is so much more important. And it sounds like you're doing good things. And I know that when we can do concerts again, yeah, I would definitely love to come to one of your shows in the
Ah,
future.
I have had a couple online performances, which has been amazing
Oh,
to get that
cool.
opportunity. So yeah.
I would love to know, are there any tips you would give to musicians who maybe like you are at university, they never considered they never considered themselves an artist, but maybe they enjoy illustrating in their free time, or maybe they have an urge to take acting lessons. Is there anything you would say to people who never thought that they could do something creative for their life?
I would say to just focus on what you enjoy. It doesn't necessarily like have to be a huge thing. You don't have to feel ready. And not to be afraid of letting people take the journey with you. Like that's half the fun. Just seeing that growth and kind of building that almost family type community where everyone's just everyone's just so for you growing. So yeah, just to have fun with it, I would say. And yeah, not to put any pressure on of, you know, being an artist or being this kind of creative and needing to make a profit out of it. I feel like those things kind of grow as well with time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We don't have to start with these huge goals of that you're going to be, you know, getting hundreds of thousands of streams, or that you're going to be a famous Instagram artist or something.
Yeah.
And just
Because
start step by step.
I never thought I'd be a music artist, but I thought, hey, I can make a song. So
yeah,
those small steps are so important.
Yes, totally. And was there a journey for you where, like, was there a moment where you realized, oh my gosh, I think I want to take this more seriously? Or did it just happen kind of step by step, and the steps just kept going further and further?
Definitely step by step. I think I realized maybe last year, when I was like, okay, I see people who are really taking it seriously, and we're kind of doing the same kind of thing. So maybe it's possible for me. But I feel like that was quite recent. And before that, I had a kind of thing where I didn't like to think, you know, how people have like 5-year plans. I had a real fear of those because I was like, okay, what if I don't want to put pressure on. So I just kind of had fun with it. I was like, this is what I enjoy doing, so I'm going to do it, kind of thing.
So did you end up making a 5-year plan?
No.
Or you still
I've made a 1-year one now. So
Yeah. That's far enough, I think.
That's good. I thought you were going to suggest making a 5-year plan. And I'm like, I don't even want to think about a 5-year plan. Like, I really need to take it month by month, year by year.
Yeah. I think allowing space and openness for any opportunity in your life, and not to be in this like strict lane of like, okay, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, because I mean, yeah, you just never know what's gonna happen, and your heart always knows what's the right thing. And maybe one day that's not the right thing, and then a couple of days later you actually think, oh, maybe this is. And I think a 5-year plan, I would agree, it's maybe not the most constructive use of time.
And also just the fact
you
that
just never know what's going to happen.
Like what we do, our daily habits, like determine more than a 5-year plan ever will. Like I feel like success is what happens when like opportunity meets preparation. So like I want to focus more on just the daily habits more than anything, instead of like, oh, I'm gonna get signed by this age or something like that. It feels stupid to me. So yeah.
Yeah. And what daily habits are you trying to practice right now?
So I'm setting to-do lists more and putting things in my calendar more so I don't forget them. And I've done some dance lessons, singing lessons, guitar lessons. So just trying to stay on top of things and not procrastinate. That's my biggest thing. So I think probably the biggest thing that's helped me with that is meditation and just spending time with God, because then it starts my day off to like the best start ever, instead of just staying in bed and being on Instagram.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really trying to do that right now too. I get out of bed and I sit in my like chair by the window and I do like some stream of consciousness writing, some meditation. And it just like, I don't know, it feels like you've started the day well. And so like the rest of the day is going to be great. Whereas last year I would like roll out of bed and get on my computer and just start working, or like, I don't know, fill my time with whatever I thought I should do. And it was just not a good start. Not a good start at all.
No, I'm not wasting time. Lord, you give me life. You're the reason why there's joy in my life. There's no stopping you, no way. Lift our hands to Yahweh, the King of Kings, of our servant. Oh Lord, when I hear your word, you got me saying amen, amen, amen. I'm always going to do what you want me to do, my Savior. Oh, for your love, you got me saying amen, amen, amen. Yeah, I will be your humble servant. Oh Lord, when I hear your word, you got me saying amen, amen, amen. I'm always going to do what you want me to do, my Savior. Oh, for your love, you got me saying amen, amen, amen. Yeah.
I asked you before, like, what advice you would give to people who might be just kind of starting. But is there any other advice you would give artists in general that has kind of stuck with you from day to day? And you've kind of given us a lot of advice in the last 10 minutes of, like, you know, success is the preparation and the opportunities and amazing wisdom. But is there anything else that you would like to share with people who might be listening from your journey that they could learn from?
Yeah, I think as an artist, it's easy to get into the mindset of being the superstar. And I've really kind of settled into the truth that I'm not the superstar. Um, I am simply like a guide. I'm like kind of like a servant to my listeners, where I would want my music to help them be the superstar of whatever they're doing, kind of thing. So it kind of it sets it on the right foot, instead of, because I think a lot of the time with artists, sometimes it's easy to get frustrated, or I'm not getting enough traction or support. But when you look at it from the space of, hey, you're here to help people. People aren't here to like puff you up and push you up, but you're here to actually give people something valuable. I think that mindset helps so much.
Yes.
Wow, you've really inspired me today to think about my why
Yeah,
again
me as well.
with music. I think I've kind of forgotten a little bit about why I'm on this journey, and I think I'm going to be thinking about this a bit today and just remembering, because you're right, it is really easy to get caught up in, like, the superstar goal of what society says a successful artist is, and it's really important to know personally why you do this every day. And yeah, thank you so much for everything that you shared with us.
Thank you for having me on. You both are so lovely. I've enjoyed this chat so much. I feel like I've just sat down with a couple friends. It's been so cool.
Oh, good. Oh,
that's what we
you.
love.
Yeah,
that's what we love. That's what we want it to be like.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing as well before you stop the recording there.
Yeah.
I think it's going back to what you said about you taking vocal lessons and guitar lessons and dance lessons. I know you're still young, but I think it's so great that you're a really great example that it's never too late to start something new. And yeah, maybe you didn't grow up with music and singing and writing songs really early on, but I think it's really great to have an example of someone who is thriving and loving what they do creatively, and finding that, you know, at whenever point in life it is right for you to find it. And yeah, I think that's something that I'm definitely going to take with, because I've also had a bit of a pivot this year, away from music. And yeah, it's never too late to find a new hobby or to find a new creative outlet. And
wow.
Yeah, I think that's really great to share.
Thanks, Poppy.
So thanks. Yeah, it's been so nice to chat to you today. It really, really has.
Yeah, it's made my morning.
Yeah.
I feel fresh.
Me too.
It's so nice to meet you. We'd love to stay in touch with you, and yeah, we can't wait to see where your music goes and how it impacts people along the way. And yeah, looking forward to listening to your next few singles, your monthly updates.
Thank you. There should be one out on the 26th, actually. So
ooh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you guys.
Oh, our pleasure. So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode.
If you'd like to be a part of the artwork conversation, we would love to invite you to join our Artwork Community Facebook group, where you can connect with the artists we've featured on the podcast and share your journey with a like-minded community. You can find the link in the show notes, as well as all the links to today's artist.
If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would take the time to subscribe to and review it so that more people can find us in the future. Your comments can help us pop up on more people's suggested podcasts, helping our artists' stories reach a wider audience.
Podcasts are best spread by word of mouth, so if you know people who might enjoy this episode or the Artwork podcast as a whole, we would love it if you told them all about it. And if you'd like to financially support this project, you can now do that on Patreon, where you can choose the amount you'd like to give us for lots of fun rewards.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at art.workconversation.
And tune in next week for another inspiring episode.
Bye!